Nothing can be produced out of nothing. All things are common among friends. To be self-taught, you must condemn yourself for all those things you would criticize others for. I am looking for a human. When someone boasted that in the Pythian games he had defeated men, Diogenes replied, "No, I defeat men, you defeat slaves." The chief good is the suspension of judgment, especially negative judgment, which tranquility of mind follows like its shadow. Diogenes was once asked what those who tell lies gain. Said he, that when they tell the truth, they are not believed. He was having breakfast in the marketplace, and onlookers gathered around him with cries of "Dog! It is you who are dogs," he cried, "when you stand and stare at me while I eat my breakfast. If your cloak was a gift, I thank you. If it was a loan, I am not yet done." There is a false love that will make you something you are not. The health and vigor necessary for the practice of what is good depend equally on mind and body. You fools! You think of God as a sentient being. God is the word used to represent a force. This force did not create anything, it only helps things. It doesn't answer prayers, although it can make you think of a way to solve a problem. It has the power to influence you, but not decide for you. He who has the most is the one who is content with the least. Aristotle dines when it pleases King Philip, but Diogenes when he himself wants to. Aren't you ashamed of yourself, you who walk backwards all the way through existence, and blame me for walking backwards along the promenade path? The noblest people are those who despise wealth, learning, pleasure, and life, esteeming above them poverty, ignorance, hardship, and death. Boastfulness, like golden armor, is very different on the inside than on the outside. Solon used to say that speech was the image of actions, that the laws were like cobwebs, for if any trifling or impotent thing fell into them, they held it fast, while if it were anything heavier, it went through them and died out. Blushing is the color of virtue. The mob is the mother of tyrants. Skill in man is an apt good, if applied to good ends. I threw away my cup when I saw a child drinking with his hands at the fountain. One should seek virtue for its own sake, uninfluenced by fear or hope, or by any external influence. Besides, that is what happiness consists in. When the slave auctioneer asked him what he was proficient in, he replied, "In ruling people." We have 2 ears and a tongue so that we can listen more and speak less. It was a favorite expression of Theophrastus that time was the most valuable thing a man could spend. Those who always have virtue in their mouths and neglect it in practice are like a harp, which makes a sound agreeable to others, while it is insensible to music. I am neither an Athenian nor a Greek, but a citizen of the world. Man is the most intelligent of animals and the dumbest. It is not that I am angry, it is only that my head is different from yours. Stand a little less between me and the sun. If only it were as easy to get rid of hunger by rubbing your belly as it is to masturbate. There's only a finger's difference between a wise man and a fool. The big thieves take the little thief. A friend is a soul that remains in two bodies. Wise kings generally have wise counselors, and he himself must be a wise man capable of distinguishing one. What I most like to drink is wine that belongs to others. Of what use is a philosopher who hurts no one's feelings? I have nothing to ask of you, except that you would take yourself to the other side, so that, intercepting the sunlight, you cannot take from me what you cannot give. It is the privilege of gods to want nothing, and of divine men to want little. In a rich man's house there is no place to spit but his face. Most men are a finger's breadth away from being mad. Dogs and philosophers do the most good and get the least amount of rewards. Why not whip the teacher when the pupil misbehaves? Life has three kinds of grapes: the first of pleasure, the second of intoxication, the third of disgust. The art of being a slave is to rule the master. I don't know if there are gods, but there should be. The sun also penetrates the toilets, but it is not contaminated by them. They call me a dog because I allude to those who give me something, shout at those who refuse, and sink my teeth into rascals. The basis of every state is the education of its youth. Even if I am but a pretender to wisdom, that in itself is philosophy. We have complicated every simple gift of the gods. When someone reminded him that the people of Sinope had sentenced him to exile, he said, "And I sentenced them to stay at home." We come into the world alone and we die alone. Why, in life, should we be less alone? The most beautiful thing in the world is freedom of speech. Protagoras claimed that there are two sides to every question, exactly opposite each other. He once asked a statue for alms and, when asked why he did so, replied, "To have practice in being rejected." Let us not unlearn what we have already learned. No man is hurt but alone. Slander is only the noise of fools. Lust is a strong tower of mischief, and has many advocates, such as need, anger, pallor, discord, love, and longing. We are more curious about the meaning of dreams than about the things we see when we are awake. The only way to get irritated and worry effectively is to be a good and honest man. One original thought is worth 1,000 meaningless quotations. Poverty is a virtue you can teach yourself. When someone asked him how he could become famous, Diogenes replied, "By worrying as little as possible about fame." Perdiccas threatened to kill it unless it came near him. "That's nothing wonderful," said Diogenes, "because a beetle or a tarantula would do the same thing." As houses well stocked with provisions are likely to be full of mice, the bodies of those who eat too much are full of disease. If I lack conscience, why should I care what happens to me when I am dead? Good men nowhere, but good boys in Sparta. When asked what was the right time for dinner, "If you are a rich man, whenever you like, and if you are a poor man, whenever you can." The question was put to him as to what hope is, and his answer was, "The dream of an awakened man." He was captured and dragged to King Philip, and when asked who he was, he replied, "A spy on your insatiable greed." Love comes with hunger. Virtue cannot dwell with wealth either in a city or in a house.